Everybody, this is Perch. As we've gone through kind of the latest wave of scandals or, people doing things they shouldn't, um, I get a question a lot in email and text and in comments to videos, and it says, I'd be interested in hearing your ideas around how we fix this. Fixing this meaning, the Neil Gaiman situation. I think no people aren't asking me my ideas how we'd fix the diamond distribution problem because if you've been listening to this channel for any length of time whatsoever, I've given that answer, like a lot, many, many, many times. And I think I've kind of given the answer on this one too. But I'll go ahead and have a little. Let's have a chat about how you fix this problem. And it starts with a kind of a recognition that this problem can be fixed. It absolutely can be fixed completely. 100% no, but you could take a severe dent in it enough that you would not have the kind of situation we have in comics where these people kind of come in and yeah, I guess before I get to the fix of the problem, let's make sure we all agree what is the problem. Like, what are we trying to solve? In this case, what we're trying to solve is, you get people, at least the way I'm going to voice over it, is you get people who are sanctimonious and loud about how, others should behave and how the fans are toxic and bad and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of this constant cultural warfare between creators and fans. And I say between, I don't mean one way or the other, because the fans certainly take lots of shots back. But this general kind of warfare is going on. Meanwhile, you have comic creators who are, in effect, I think to use the word that a lot of these sites use, sex pests. People who are, are basically making for, either awkward work situations or, highly, highly awkward or illegal work situations. And it depends on we never say legal, that kind of throws some things into the mix, but it's the basic problem is, hey, we want comics and we would like comics written and produced and drawn by people who, bear more in resemblance to Superman than say, Lex Luthor. We'd like more of that. I mean, God, I wish the comic creators were more like Lex Luthor. I mean, we we'd like our heroes to be, more like Wonder Woman and less like Punchline. Anyway, you get the idea. Punchline is good an analog for a bunch of people. Um, and so that's kind of the problem statement we're having here. The solution is a very simple one, but it's one that has consequences. And in my mind, I'm like, sign me up. I think the consequences are important, and I think they should, we should have those consequences. But we have to recognize the consequences. And the consequences are what comics needs to move to. And by the way, this doesn't just solve this problem. It solves a lot of problems, which is comics need to become more professional. That simple, actually. Comics need to become professional. We need to be able to have a comic industry that is something that, you could say, yeah, my kids could go into that and I have no real concerns. No, not beyond. Look, you have, a variety of sex offenses and violence and all kinds of things in every single job. It's that just comics has a greater amount of them. That's the fix. That's what we're looking to do. To be more professional, it means a number of things. It means consequences. And I don't think everybody is willing to sign up for this or wants to sign up for this. It basically means, hey, if you go to the bar in the evening after a convention and you take off your pants and you wave your dick around like a helicopter in front of a bunch of your coworkers, or you take a picture of your butthole and you send it to somebody you're having an online feud with, or you basically you try and sneak in to film your wife having sex with another man, and then you send the video to the editorial team, or you pay you basically use your position to pay a booth worker or workers to come and hang out in your booth and skimpy clothes, and then imply that if they want to get paid the next day, they need to give you a blowjob. Or say if you go to a retailer and you go to a comic shop and you say, I'll be happy to come in and do a signing, but I'm going to need you to, put in a good word for me. Hint, hint, suggest that, your female staffer in your comic shop, go ahead and blow me. I mean, I could go on. By the way, every example I've used is not a example out of my imagination. They're all things that have happened in comics. Um, then you get fired, and I'm on board with you get fired publicly. I do think one of the things, and again, but there are consequences to this. Basically, I have no issues that if you do something in that degree, then you get fired, and we explain why. It's not fired for violating our rules and standards. No, it should be, yeah, you got fired because you are an editor for a line of comics and you either paid or encouraged an artist working on one of your comics to draw, naked pictures of some of your female coworkers. And then you distribute them around the office as a joke. I think, again, all the things I've just said, all the things have happened in other, well, I don't know to what level, but like the booth babe one where you hire a girl to stand and be eye candy in your booth, and then you suggest that part of the gig comes with sex. That's happened. That famously, a bunch of companies at CES, that's a consumer electronics show that happens in Vegas every January. Companies were doing that. They were basically mixing kind of booth presence and prostitution in one. Um, it happens, but in comics it happens more. And it happens more because by and large, the company, the industry protects its own. And a little bit is it's a small business and they're a small industry and it's a close knit. And, if you tell on me, then I may get into trouble, but you're branded a troublemaker. So you're not going to be able to do any of this. There's a Valerie over on Twitter. And it's funny because people are like, she seems very salty. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Have you heard her stories? I mean, it'd be nice if she, wasn't so angry about what happened to her just for her own kind of mental health. But yeah, I could totally see why she's angry. I would be too. This stuff goes on in comics a lot, and because it's tolerated. Because if you complain about it, you are branded a troublemaker. Because if if you speak out, then you lose your livelihood. And at the end of the day, that's what comics has to change. Comics it needs to say that kind of behavior. You do everything I just mentioned. Who's the person, by the way, who's going to come in the comments and say, well, that one you mentioned there wasn't so bad. No, it's all bad. I'm sorry. It's all bad. Yes, you definitely as a human being have the ability to go out and pay some other guy to have sex with your wife and film it. You absolutely do. That's your kink, your deal. But what you don't have the ability to do is then take the video of that and mail it around to your coworkers. In every company I could think of, you're getting fired if you do that. They're not going to continue to employ you. So in comics, like why was that not a fireable offense? Now, in fairness, it was close to a fireable offense. It was like the second to last straw for a lot of people. But there are still companies who are like, I think we can give that guy another chance. But no, I think you're done at that point. You're just done. You have to kind of, severely change your ways. And I don't think that's unfair. If comics wants to clean itself up, it's going to have to say that kind of stuff doesn't work in a comic, in a industry that produces, material that is meant to be read by lots of people. I'm not even going to say lots of children. I'm just going to say, meant to be consumed by lots of people as a branded product. That is disqualifying. I'm sorry. It is. And think about, wherever you work, even like if you work at McDonald's and you did some of this stuff, like they would fire your ass, and they should. You can't, like, it breaks the workplace if you've got that kind of shit going on. That's not workplace stuff. So why in the world? But comics basically has to say, yeah, those are the rules. And by the way, those are the rules in a lot of comic companies. It's just they don't enforce them. And if you do that, we are going to fire you. I think blacklists should be public. I don't think they should be gossipy rumors. I think there's another way to fix it. I think that you need to pay people more. I've said this before. You need to pay people more and you need to expect more. It's like your salary is going to be higher. You're going to get health insurance. We're going to take care of you. So this is actually a destination job where you want to be. In return, you're not going to go on Twitter and talk about being too high to, read your emails or respond to people who are doing comics for you. If you do that, that's the standard. You're trading higher salary for some standards. And the thing that people don't really want to say in comics, and it's one of those, and it's just unspoken things. People they don't want to admit this. It's this. Um, a lot of the people in comics are comfortable or at least tolerant of lower pay in return for no standards. It's the was a kick ass quote: "With no power comes no responsibility." There are people who believe they're making a trade of I'm going to get paid less, and in return, if I decide to take my pants off at BarCon, we're all going to tolerate that. And I do happen to hold. I mean, one thing, and I know I've disagreed with several of you this with you. If you hold a position of managerial authority, or at least have the ability to, if you're Scott Snyder, you have the ability to say, I'm going to work with these people and basically name your team. Well, that does mean you now have some responsibility not to go out to the field and say, if you fuck me, maybe I will, let you color my book. That is, that may work in the independents. It may work for crowdfunding, but for a corporation, that is liability central. It is, I mean, we could, what's fascinating to me is a lot of the people who disagree with me on this point are the same ones who want to pull up the, good Christians. Yeah, they bring up the religious stuff. Like a lot of the creators are not acting with Christian values and insulting the fans on Twitter. By the way, it should be completely okay to trade a blowjob for work. They should be free to do that. They did nothing wrong. What are you talking about? Anyway, everybody's got different standards, by the way, and your bar is your bar, and that's how the world should work. Everybody has their own kind of ethics and standards they live by, and that's good. That's a good thing. At any rate, if you want to fix comics, a lot of it, a lot comes down to we're going to have some rules and we're going to enforce those rules. And when people break those rules, we're going to explain why, and we're going to have consequences appropriate to those rules being broken. And that's how we're going to govern this industry and this business. And for, like I said, for some of you, you're saying, yeah, I'd rather have no rules. I come to comics because I do want to urinate at somebody's wedding at some point, or whatever it was, New Year's party. Anyway, you basically say, of any of the stories I said earlier, of any of the situations, if you found yourself going, well, like, I don't know, maybe that's bad, maybe it's not bad, I don't know, who am I to judge? If that was your response to any of that stuff, then yeah, you don't want it to change. And that's that. I guess that's fine too. But let's just admit it then. We're not going for change. So when the Neil Gaiman situation happens, and people are like, "How could this happen? Why is this happening?" Well, because we allow all that shit. That's why. And if you don't want that, if you don't want to wake up in the morning and be like, "Yeah, guy, this writer basically admitted to coercing these girls," then you're going to have some standards because I'm not saying it's never, but you get a lot less of those stories coming out of like Charles Schwab, or the Academy of Dentistry. Again, there are perverts and weirdos everywhere, but we're talking about percentages. With comics, it is a quarterly, sometimes monthly event that some skeezy shit's going on. And the antidote to that is, have rules, enforce rules. I talked a lot about kind of, various sexual kind of behavior and other things, but, I'll throw in there, like in many companies, if you're a leader in that company or somebody with some power or some kind of marketable name, and you go on to Twitter and you just spaz out and, say you wish a bunch of people were dead who vote in a different way politically from you. If you do that, you will get fired. It goes against the rules and they will enforce them. I, in comics, it's not only not a fireable offense, it's often encouraged when you see, It's not just a leader that does it, it's a leader's leader that's also doing it. And you get kind of like this jokey behavior. Either it goes back to either like it or we don't. If you want to fix it, there are solutions to fix it. Quite simple ones, but they do take grit and determination. And it means that some of the people, the person listening to this right now, some of the people you like are going to get fired. I mean, none of us with a straight face can say, oh, like, everybody's, I mean, we'll justify it by saying, well, this person's being a dick just because those other people are being a dick. But in a world where you want to cut this stuff out, then it's a blanket. Nobody gets to be a dick. Nobody gets to do this. I don't care if, Tess Fowler said these 18 things. If you come back and say something really nasty against her, you're getting canned as well. Do we want to live with that? Or do we not? Do you want to clean it up or do you not? Your call.